Hello, everybody. What is up? It is time yet again for another episode of Elite City. I am your co-host Blasco, along with the Canadian destroyer himself, Mr. Rick.
Does that mean I'm just like? Does that mean I'm just like very overused and a transitional move?
Possibly, yes.
That makes sense. It seems about accurate.
So, man, what's a lot of stuff happened yet again, huh?
As always, lots of stuff happened, and lots of
It's
stuff
on.
that's coming up.
Oh my, yeah. Like that's even. I don't even understand what's happening. Uh, it's literally insanity, like in like the best way possible. It's just nonstop. Like this train is it's going full speed ahead.
Yeah, I just saw. I'm just looking at Tony Khan's Twitter right now, and he tweeted a couple hours ago some of the matches for Dynamite. Looks crazy.
Unbelievable. Well, with that said, we'll do our weekly recap here. And uh last week's Dynamite started off with the TNT Championship match, which I like when they do this. It, like you said a couple weeks ago, it kind of gives you the Saturday night's main event vibe.
Yeah,
Throw
and
out
I like
a
when they have two title matches. You put one at the very beginning and one at the very end. It kind of gives you like a
yeah,
show opening main event and a show closing main event, which I like.
yeah. Um, I well, first and foremost, I mean, I'll give you my opinion, then I'll ask yours. I literally did not think there was any way that Wardlow wins this match.
No, I thought definitely what we talked about last week. I thought because they made it a street fight and because it was
Yeah,
going to be a appearance, I thought he would get screwed over and they'd keep this going for a bit longer.
yeah. Like, not only did Wardlow win the match, obviously, uh, other than like Scorpio Sky had a fast start, but other than that, he kind of destroyed him.
Yeah, and it wasn't very street fighty.
No, no, it wasn't at all. Other
There wasn't
than
much. There wasn't much to make. They even wore regular wrestling gear, which I was slightly disappointed by.
yeah, you pointed that out, and that does make sense. Usually, street fight, you show up in your street clothes.
I always like that. I always like when like they wear jeans.
Yeah,
I don't know
because
why. I
then
just think it's fun. It's like it doesn't count. It's not a wrestling match, so I don't need to wear wrestling gear. I like it.
it would be way more uncomfortable to do all that in jeans.
Yeah.
Just saying. Uh, I like you said about being the street fight. I definitely thought um, they were gonna have to make Wardlow climb through American Top Team, and
Yeah. I
they
thought that'd be like kind of like a Scorpio Sky would kind of just stand there and like send guys after him.
right, right.
But I guess they kind of did that with the 20 security guards thing. But it still would have been fun.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, those guys were down there for a minute. I mean, they kind of beat up Wardlow for 10 seconds and then he beat them up. And that was kind of it.
Yeah.
It it was it was a good match. It was a weird match though. I did not expect when I'm not talking bad for Scorpio Sky when I say I wasn't expecting so little from him. I mean it as in he didn't have much offense.
It
I
makes me
mean
think:
everything
is he still potentially recovering from an injury? Maybe that's why they did it this way.
that, that very well could be. I don't know. Or
Like
just
he's
maybe to make
he's
Wardlow look.
slightly limited in his wrestling, so they knew he couldn't have a full match. Or they just try and put Wardlow over. I don't know.
Or I was gonna say, or maybe it was just time to put Wardlow over because I mean when Wardlow did that swanton, like I think he almost jumped through the roof.
Yeah,
That thing
I mean,
was.
I like Wardlow as champion. Not don't get me wrong. I think
Oh,
he's
same here, same here.
champion is great. I think it's great. I just didn't expect it this early, and I feel kind of bad for Scorpio's guy.
I do too. I mean, he had the title like 14 times in 3 months. Not
I
that
looked
much,
it up. He
obviously.
technically had it, I think, since like March, except for that time where he lost it to Sammy and then won it back. But like he really didn't do anything with the belt.
Yeah, like his whole belt run was fighting with Sammy.
Right.
Like I
Maybe
don't know.
Wardlow as champion will give it some like stability because I can't see him losing it anytime soon. So maybe
That's
he'll have
Yeah,
it for a good long run. It'll make it like when Miro had it. Like it was kind of just like a big dominant run that makes it seem more important.
yeah, and I mean Wardlow is going to be on TV every week, so
Right.
not that Scorpio Sky wasn't, but it'll be uh, it'll be more interesting to see what they do with Wardlow. As in, are they going to bring other people in for him to like defend it against? Kind of like, well, keep the open challenge, but like keep it. I don't want to say like the All Atlantic Championship, but keep it like, oh, so and so from TNA wants a shot at it, or
Right. Yeah, because
like,
if he's going to be squashing people every week, which I think he probably is, you
yeah,
don't you don't want to squash like your entire roster.
exactly, yeah, because then
So
I mean it would
you
make,
need to have somebody else to face him. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so yeah, we'll go with that. I mean, obviously we talked about it. Wardlow is the new TNT champion, and I mean, it sounds like we're both pretty positive with it. I mean, I think
I've
it's
never
awesome.
seen so much confetti in one building as when like
Yeah,
you couldn't even see Wardlow. He was just it was just confetti.
yes, his confetti was, well, they had to make up for it whenever Jade's balloons didn't fall in
Right. It
Pittsburgh.
was like I was gonna say it was like the complete opposite of the celebration Jade got, where hers didn't work at all. This this worked
They
too well.
made sure. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure Tony Khan was just like, we can't have this fail again. Do twice as much confetti just in case half of it doesn't work.
Right. Then you have the
We
right
still have a
amount.
lot of confetti.
Um, all in all, I thought it was a great match. Just not what I expected, which
Yeah,
in a cool way, not what I expected.
yeah.
Um, then Mox, right after the TNT Championship match, Mox cut a promo on Brody King, uh, where in typical John Moxley fashion, he claimed that blood and guts is like golfing on a Sunday afternoon for me. I thought that was amazing line for a wrestling promo.
Yeah, Mox has been on like a really good streak, like a really great streak of like good promos, good matches. Like obviously he's John Moxley. He's been good forever. But
Oh yeah,
since he came back especially, he's been extra intense and I like it.
yeah. After his comeback, yeah, I'm, the old adage, you don't know what you got till it's gone. Like, not only was he dealing with a personal issue, but he had the like second or third love. I mean, his wife and kid are probably first and second, but he have like his third love in life was pro wrestling was taken away from him. It probably feels so good for him to be back on a weekly basis in
Yeah.
front of the crowd, and oh, he's killing it right now.
And I feel like he would argue with you about the wrestling being third. I mean, I know he loves his wife and kid, obviously, but I feel like he would be like, I don't know, they're kind of all
that's
tied.
that's that's true. That's
I'd put them
true.
all at one.
That is, hey, you're probably right. Um, it, well, obviously, this promo was for the match at the end of the night, and we all knew how that was going to end. But your your thoughts on the promo? Like, to
Yeah,
me, it had like an old ECW vibe.
yeah, definitely. It definitely felt like that. And John Moxley makes. I mean, even when he was wrestling guys from Japan who I didn't know, he makes
Right,
all matches seem like a big deal. Like obviously Brody King wasn't going to win,
right,
but he makes every match seem like a really big deal. Like so, like you want to see him fight this guy, you want to see what's going to happen. You think this guy's like he made him. He does what I think it was Mick Foley said before. You can't just talk down. You can't just insult your opponent. You also have to make them seem like a big deal because otherwise, if you beat them
right.
and they're nobody, it means nothing. Um,
Yeah, that's a
Moxley
good
does
way
a
to
really
put it.
good job at making himself seem, credible and dangerous, while also making his opponent seem credible and dangerous. And it it's a skill that he
It
definitely
is.
has, and it makes
Eh,
you want to watch the match, even if it's a match where you know who's going to win. It makes you want
right.
to watch it.
And I mean, just your typical John Moxley match is usually basically a legal fight.
Right.
So, um, right after that, it was AEW kind of broke their normal format. They went with two promos in a row. You had Tony Nese and Mark Sterling trying to get Keith Lee to sign a petition for Swerve to be removed from the company, I think this is hilarious.
Yeah, I think I missed the beginning of this promo. Is there a reason they decided to pick?
No.
There's no reason that they decided to like they want Swerve out of the company. They just decided. Okay, that makes more
I,
sense. Because at first I was like, did I miss something? Did I miss the
I,
beginning of this? Like,
I it now this could I could totally be wrong with this. Like they didn't say anything. Is it did Swerve maybe eliminate Tony Nese from the Royal Rampage?
I think he did, and I think that's their reasoning.
Okay, well they didn't say that.
But they didn't say that. No.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that at least makes a little bit of
I thought
sense.
maybe he did something that they were like, he's too violent or whatever. They had a reason, but I don't think they actually have a reason other than they just don't like him.
Right. um. Again, it was a nice little kind of comedy moment, but other than that, it was to get uh to plant that seed of negativity into Keith Lee. I mean,
Yeah, and I noticed
it's
Keith Lee said something along the lines of, "Oh, he's my partner and we're winning right now, so it's all good."
yes.
And that made me think, "Oh, if they stop winning, is it no
It
longer all good?"
I was just gonna say, yeah. Obviously, he's setting that up. They'll go on a little losing streak, and he'll take it personally.
Right.
Uh, well, again, I'm gonna let you take the reins on the next one after the for the third
More
promo.
Christian.
More Christian. Uh,
Quickly, very quickly becoming like one of the most important guys in the company.
yeah,
And I wouldn't have expected that, a couple months ago, but very quickly becoming one of the top, the top draws, one of the top heels in the company.
yeah. I mean, this program that looks like we're gonna get with Matt Hardy looks unreal right now.
Yeah, and Luchasaurus going full Kane now. He's got the pyro in
Oh
the
yeah,
beginning, and
yeah. I mean, all Christian has to do is start calling him a monster or something,
right.
and yeah, he's full Kane. Uh, the whole thing just works.
I like where this is going. At the very beginning, when Matt Hardy came out and Christian took a shot at him, being like, "Oh, you're making your brother saying like the sober one," I think it was. He said
Yeah, you make your
that seemed
brother
kind of like a weird shot that I didn't necessarily like at the time.
right.
But then he kind of tied it in to Matt enabling Jeff,
Yes.
which Jeff did a really good. I'm sorry, Matt did a really good promo of that. You suggested I watch, which was correct, on BTE,
Yeah.
which was kind of the same vein that like Matt wanted this final run with his brother, and he kind of ignored his brother's issues to get that run.
Right.
And so Christian bringing up his brother then made a lot of sense, especially because obviously Christian and Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy have a very lengthy history.
Yeah. It was the levels of storytelling just in that little exchange that they had was pretty mind blowing. Like thinking about that, you know, their first interactions were probably in like '98.
Right.
And here we are in 2022, and they're like still at the top of their game. It's unreal.
Christian's doing a very good job at. I think I touched on this before. A lot of heels become heels or get over as heels just by like being mean. Like they say
Yeah.
mean things and they do mean stuff, and that's why they're heels. Um, Christian's doing a really good job of explaining why he's a jerk, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like he's not just making fun of your brother. He's not just making fun of Jungle Boy's family. He has reasons for these things. Like they're
Yeah.
they're jerky reasons. Like he's being a jerk when he doesn't.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
But he's explaining why he's not just doing it to be mean. It's not just like I think it's funny to make fun of your mom. Like no, he has
Right.
reasons for doing that. Like
Right. And I mean, just like the T-shirt said, outwork everyone, and the T-shirt worked everyone. It plays off so good because it's like now anything he says, all he has to do is put it out there, and you're automatically second guessing it due to his character.
right. Yeah.
It's oh, it's so good.
Yeah, and this I mean this feud with Matt Hardy probably won't be long because I mean he's just gonna beat Matt Hardy. There's no way Matt Hardy wins. Um, but if Jungle Boy's injured, it makes sense to give him something to do to keep him on TV because he's one of their hottest acts right now. So he needs to be
Yeah,
around.
And obviously, what's going to happen is they're going to wrestle, and Matt Hardy's going to beat him, and Luchasaurus is going to be the heel,
Right.
hit Matt Hardy, and Christian gets the win.
And I don't mean to
Just
put this the wrong way. Matt Hardy does a really good job at being like the guy who gets beaten up.
yeah,
Like he's good at it. He's good at like
yeah,
making you feel bad for him and like taking punishment where you feel like, oh, that shouldn't have happened. Like he's good at that.
yeah,
So Luchasaurus is gonna like destroy him and you're gonna feel bad for him. And it's gonna be exactly what they need.
yes. Oh, it's well, just like at the end of this promo, uh, you know, Christian tapped Luchasaurus, and then Luchasaurus attacks Matt Hardy, and it was almost the like the cream in the coffee for the you
Right.
know just was perfect. The cherry on top. It
Right.
was the perfect ending to that whole scenario,
Right.
and you knew that it was coming.
Right. But it was still good, yeah.
Yeah, and
Now do you
uh,
think Luchasaurus needs a new name if he's gonna be more evil?
well,
That was always
it's
JR's issue with Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, that their names don't hold up as like top tier main event guys. They seem more like mid carder based on their names.
well, at first I was on the he needs to go by something else. He needs to do something else or change his name or something. Then I read a tweet from Mick Foley, and Foley was like, he got this far being Luchasaurus. Think
Right.
about that. He
That's
knows
true.
what he's doing.
Yeah, and I mean, Mankind isn't a great name to begin with, and he did it. So yeah, you're right.
Right.
That's true.
So, and in a situation like that, I'm gonna say after reading that, yeah, he brought Luchasaurus this far. Let's see. Let's totally give him the keys to the castle and let him
Yeah,
take it down another road.
and lots of gimmick names sound dumb until they become not dumb.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
even like I'm thinking of like the Undertaker. Like that's not a good
yeah,
gimmick. When you
yeah,
if you pitched it today, you'd be like, he is he a zombie? Does he shoots lightning? What's going on? But like he
yeah,
made it work. So
yeah,
yeah, I could see that. I could see him turning it into his own sort of thing, to where it means something, and then a few years from now, you don't even think of it being a strange name.
yeah. Just we compared him to Kane. You say that, I know who Kane is.
Right.
You know who Kane is. He's not Glenn Jacobs. He's
And
Kane.
thankfully, he's not Glenn
Thankfully,
Jacobs.
yeah, thankfully. Uh, yeah, it's those. I want him to stay that character now, just to see.
Yeah,
You
just to see what he
know,
can do with it. Because I mean, he could
yeah,
always change his name later if it's not working. But yeah, okay, that
right,
makes sense.
yeah. And then you blame it on the company. Oh, you made me wear a stupid mask, and then you take it off. But yeah, I agree with it. I think he needs to keep it up. Uh, right after that, we had our fourth promo in a row, by the way, which I thought was nuts. For the shows are usually nonstop action. Not that this wasn't
Yeah,
nonstop action, but it was a setup for the first hour. Uh, we learned that Claudio and Jake Hager are going to have a match. Well, this week now on um, week week one, night one of Fighter Fest, which we also learned Fighter Fest is this week. Unreal. I mean, it's just one week after another, after another, after another of stuff.
I also really like that Fighter Fest has now been far more successful than Fire Fest, which it's parodying.
Yes, agreed.
Because there's been what, like there's been three of them now, hasn't there?
Um, yeah, the, uh, yeah. The first one was it was their first major, like
Yeah,
it was their
it
first
was before
named.
Dynamite. Yeah.
Yeah, it was their first named thing
Oh no,
before.
this is the fourth one.
Oh,
Because the
wow.
first one was that one in 2019 before Dynamite existed,
Oh, okay. And
and
then
then
they
there's been
had
two other ones on Dynamite, and then this one's coming up.
okay. Wow, interesting. Hey, that's good that we have a we're starting to get a backbone of history here with
Right.
AEW. Things are starting to become yearly, and it's cool. It's cool to see it from the beginning, actually.
Yeah.
Um,
And Claudio and Hager will probably be a good. I mean, Hager's not outstanding, but Claudio is, so it'll be fun.
I want to see Hager actually like wrestle, and I think
Yeah,
that's what these guys are going to do.
right.
I hope so.
And
Uh,
it plays a little bit on I mean they were a tag team before they split up and never really got a payoff in WWE. So
oh really? Oh, I
I don't think
forgot
that
about that.
I don't think
That
they
was
ever
the
really
We
had
the
a payoff.
People.
Yeah,
Was that We the People? Yeah,
and
I
then
forgot about that.
Claudio left Hager and went with Paul Heyman, and then Paul Heyman just like disappeared a
That's
couple weeks
right.
afterwards, and Claudio just did nothing, and here we are.
You're correct. They did. Totally forgot about that. Wow. Um. Okay. Yeah, that'll be a fantastic match. I want to see a you know make fun of me all you want. I want to see a boring, slow technical match between these two.
I feel like Hager could actually wrestle, he just doesn't. So yeah, it might be interesting to see.
Well, that's true. I mean, he does have that MMA mentality. Like,
Yeah, and wasn't he
he
like
doesn't
a high school wrestler or a college wrestler or something like
both.
that?
Yeah,
I think he was.
yeah, yeah.
So
He
it'll be
is
interesting
a
to see.
yeah. So it's going to be a good match
And I want to
regardless.
know what kind of pants he's wearing. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. Oh, I hope he wears a funny outfit to wrestle in. That would be amazing. Uh Butcher and Blade versus Swerve in Our Glory, Swerve and Keith Lee. Um, didn't have the best start. It was a little. They had a little. Wasn't the smoothest beginning of a match, but
Yeah.
they pulled it together. Uh, Butcher and Blade looked great after. I don't know if they were both hurt. I know one of them was hurt,
Yeah.
but I can't remember which one. Uh, but they look
I think
great.
it was
I mean,
Butcher because I think Blade was around for by himself for a while.
yes, correct. You are correct. Uh, they're they're going to be something here.
Yeah, it's a little odd. We'll talk about this more in the post match segment, but it's a little AEW seems like they have a lot of tag teams, and like Butcher and
Yeah,
Blade are a tag team that should be doing something, but like, what are you going to do? They're not the Young Bucks or FTR. You're not going to put them over them,
right.
but they should be doing something. So I don't know what to do with teams like that. Someone like
So
Private Party too. There's a bunch of teams who are like they're not main event teams,
right,
but
but they're good at what
they're
they do.
good and they deserve to have more time.
Hmm, that's very interesting. Uh, I'm
More titles.
yeah, like that's what I was just gonna say. You can't have like an intercontinental tag title.
Right.
And like I don't know.
I mean,
Titles finding
maybe
a
when
company.
FTR stops holding all of the titles, they can give some to
Well,
somebody else
yeah. Or get the put the TNA titles on them after you
or
get them
something,
off
and
of.
go ROH titles or having
Well,
the
you got to get
AAA
those.
titles that AAA titles. I don't think AAA seems to really care about their titles, so they could use
Well,
those.
well, yeah. Again, though, you got to get them off FTR. Same with the
Right.
ROH titles.
Right.
uh, it's yeah. Like I feel bad for them, but at the same time, they are they're so solid.
Yeah,
They're
they're a
such a
good
good
team.
team
I
to
like them.
watch.
I
Yeah.
like them. They can be a
Um.
really good like they're not going to win the belts, but they're a good test for other teams. Like they look menacing, they look tough. If a team beats them, it's still a big deal to the point where
Yeah.
like they're not jobbers. They hold some sort of esteem. So they could be like the people you beat before you end up in the main event. Like they have a
Yeah.
role.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Um. We had a little mishap between Mr. Keith Lee. He hit Swerve, which I thought was going to turn into more than it did.
Yeah,
Uh, but it still planted that seed. Uh,
yeah. And I think they're going for like a slow burn with this,
yeah, I think so too.
which AEW likes
Obvious.
to do. I feel like sometimes maybe their burns might be a little too slow, but it makes sense. I mean, if you're in real life, if you're out with your buddy and he bumps into you, you're not immediately gonna like deck him and never speak to him again. So
Right, right,
like,
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He has to push your buttons to the point of no return.
right.
Um, Swerve and Keith Lee, they got the win, and then the actual show started.
Yeah.
So much happened after this match.
Yeah, that
Uh,
surprised me too. I mean, Hobbs and Starks coming out didn't surprise me. I expected that.
Yes. Uh, Hobbs and Starks come out, interrupt the post-match celebration, and they're on another level right now, saying that Swerve and Keith beat them, blah 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 blah. They're back and forth, and then the big surprise, the Bucks music hits, and the Bucks come out and interrupt everybody, and they don't even give them the option. They say versus you versus us next week
Right.
for the titles. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean the match is going to be. I'm kind of surprised. Not surprised. I mean, I'm surprised by the fact that this is happening. I'm also slightly surprised that they haven't given us, that I can remember, a Hobbs and Starks versus Swerve in Our Glory, like just 2-on-2 match yet, have they? They've always
No,
had someone else
it's always
involved.
always been someone else.
Yeah.
So there's a reason for it. I don't know why, but there
Yeah.
has to be a reason for it.
Right.
uh this match is going to be off the rails.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going to elevate Hobbs and Starks to levels that I don't know if they realize that they're going to hit yet.
Yeah, and I think this. I mean, it seems like this is leading to an eventual Bucks FTR match.
Right.
But it's gonna do a lot for the other teams. I don't know if this is gonna be the match where Keith Lee and Swerve break up, or if they're gonna hint at it again, or what's gonna happen here.
That's like how good would it be if like Keith Lee hits his finisher and like they're gonna 1-2 and then Swerve breaks up the count.
Right, or Swerve walks
And
out on him when he's
yeah,
about
and
to
then
do
like
something. Yeah,
oh, that would be so good because then it was like, oh, they could have won the titles.
right,
Oh, and then you let them feud right there, and
right,
that's
and then you
selling
can put Hobbs
tickets.
and Starks in a feud with the Bucks or FTR or something after this.
There you go. We booked the rest of the summer right there.
All right, problem solved.
Yep, problem
Tony
solved.
Khan, give us a call.
Yeah, we know you listen to the podcast.
Of
Just kidding.
course.
I mean, you have so much free
What
time
else
in
would he
your
be doing?
day.
What else would he be doing with his time?
Yeah, the 3 minutes a day doesn't have anything to do.
That's right.
Um, Malachi Black cuts the best promos, and maybe since Jake the Snake Roberts in
Yeah, I like his
1987.
delivery too. Like it's not angry. It's the opposite of like a John Moxley promo or Eddie Kingston promo where they're like very
Yes,
impassioned,
yeah,
but it still works.
and his choice of words, like I envy you, John, because
Yeah.
he was talking about Moxley and Brody King, and like you're gonna get the beast because you brought it out of him. Like it was so good. It
Yeah.
was like ah,
I would really
and
like to see a Malachi Black John Moxley feud. That would be fun.
that would be so fun. Well, it looks like we're going to talk about it here a little bit later, but it looks like we have something in store for Malachi, and
Yeah.
I like where that's going already. Um, Again, a lot of promos. It was the first of Eddie Kingston promos. Uh, that it in hindsight, it was the setup for the home run that he hit on Friday.
Right.
But his promo, what I thought was awesome. He congratulated Wardlow, put Wardlow over, and his feed gets cut to the JAS backstage. For some reason, Ruby Soho puts her full arm in a halfway into a
it
car door,
it seemed a
and
little weird because Jericho was like, "Come on, Ty, hit her," and then there was like a 1 second delay. Well, like
yeah,
Ruby Soho just stood there with her arm in the door.
yeah. So, other than that, she got her arm slammed in a car door,
Right.
and that went on to set Eddie off for something that's going to happen later that we will hit. Uh, and it was, like I said, it was the setup. You didn't really know what was happening yet, but it was the setup
Right.
for what
And I hope
happens.
it
Like
also gets us a Ruby Soho Ty Conti match because that would probably be a good match.
I definitely think that's what we're gonna get.
And they
Like,
both need something to do, so that would be good.
yes, and I think they would work really well together.
Yeah,
Uh yeah, they're about roughly the same size. You have a high flyer versus like a real technical person in Thai. Oh, that'd be great.
yeah.
Uh then hey, we had a match, believe it or not.
Hey,
Penta Oscuro versus uh Rush. Uh I think these guys ran about 35 miles in this match. It was so fast. It- Again, Excalibur told us 5.5 years of feud apparently in
yeah,
about 28 seconds,
yeah.
but it made me care.
Right, for sure.
Yeah, it was uh it was a solid match. Alex Abrahante's spear and Jose the assistant. I
Yeah, it was a
want to
good
see more of
spear.
this. It was a
It was a
great
good
spear.
spear. Yeah.
I hope those guys at least fight again.
Yeah, I feel like they could do enough to like have another brawl. Like I'm sure they're not, I don't know about if either of them are. I know Alec isn't a wrestler from as far as I can tell.
No, he is. He actually
Oh, he is
was.
he?
Yeah, he was trained by Stu Hart actually.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Um, and he just realized early on. Sorry, I'll give you a little backstory. Uh, his body, like, he's just skinny. Like, he can't put on
Right.
mass.
Right.
So he figured he would be a better manager. But as
Oh,
far
okay.
as like doing and taking moves, he can do
Oh,
everything.
okay. That's
But
cool.
he just, yeah.
That's
Um,
cool.
yeah, and the fact that he went through the Heart Dungeon makes
Right.
it awesome.
Yeah.
Um, where are we at? Oh, the power slam that Rush hit. I literally thought he broke Penta in half. That thing was gnarly. Um, they basically just beat the hell out of each other for 15
Yeah.
minutes.
It was
Uh,
good. It was fun.
it was very fun. I really dug. I love that Andrade, everything that he has done, even when he was part of the AA, he is the pure definition of a heel. Like,
Yeah.
his teams never get the clean win. Again, they ripped off Penta's mask again.
Which I think we need to start keeping track of how many times they've ripped off Penta's mask or
It,
Phoenix's mask because it's been
yeah,
a
it's
lot
like,
now.
yeah, it's been like 3, 4 times.
Yeah.
Uh, uh they got the win. They got another mask. I think this is. I love it.
Yeah,
I love that. Go ahead.
and we're gonna get a Rush. I'm sure, not sure what his name is.
They call him both, so
Yeah,
I don't know.
and Andrade against the Lucha Bros. I have no idea how to pronounce Andrade's team's name. I'm not even
I
going to try.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but the tag match between the two teams is going to be good.
It will be wonderful. Um, it, it, Samoa Joe still hasn't answered, and
Right.
it's getting under my skin. But apparently, he signed a contract
Right.
because we learned that Jay Lethal and Samoa Joe for the Ring of Honor television title is going to be at Death Before Dishonor.
Right.
Um, totally okay with that. Uh, it's going to
Yeah,
be
makes sense.
yeah, it's going to be a great match. By any chance, did you go back and watch the Satnam Singh matches from last week?
No, I didn't.
If you're busy, if you're not busy anytime this week, that man is on a different level than we thought he was.
Okay, good. Good.
Yeah. Oh, it was very positive. Like, I mean,
Nice.
they're total squash matches. They're maybe 3 minutes, but
Right.
his movement, like, you could tell he was an athlete. Like,
For like a guy who's 7 foot, whatever. Yeah.
yeah, like, he knows how to use like his speed, and he doesn't look awkward.
Right. That's good.
It's yeah, just yeah, check them out. They're like they're squash matches.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, uh, unfortunately, we had the end of the Ass Boys and Acclaimed.
Heartbreaking.
It was very very heartbreaking.
We didn't even
Uh,
get a final scissor me daddy ass.
no, and we got clowned by Mr. Daddy Ass.
Yes.
He went back with his sons.
Yes. And the,
Be,
the the very sad Bowens like reaching out for the scissors and Billy
oh,
Gunn just like, yeah,
it was so good.
it was so good. I kind of wish that Billy Gunn would have done it like sadly, like okay, one last
Yeah,
time, and
one
then and
last
then
time.
and then attacked him.
Just yeah.
Like
Oh
like in like mob movies where they like shake your hand before you get killed.
yes, yeah. That would have been so good. Oh, now we referenced this a little earlier. We had Miro cut a promo on Malachi Black.
Yes.
Uh, definitely sounded like a challenge to me.
Yes.
Thoughts?
I mean,
Yeah, you agree?
I definitely want to see them against one another. They're both heels, so that'll be interesting. But I mean, Miro kind of gets. I mean, they both kind of get cheered.
Yeah.
AEW doesn't have a strict heel face thing for a lot of people.
No.
But the match itself will be good. The promos are going to be good. They might both try to kill God. It'll be interesting.
Did you notice that they didn't show Miro's left eye the entire time in
I
his
only did
promo?
when you drew attention to it. I didn't. I didn't think of it on my own. But
So
that's
I'm
cool.
yes, and it's his left side. So I'm wondering Malachi's is his right side. How
Right.
sick would that be if they each had half their face painted with like
Yeah.
the infection?
And it's like it's corrupted people. So what'll it make Miro do?
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna give him the power.
So who else has Malachite sprayed? He sprayed Julia Hart and she turned.
Well, Penta, and it turned him to
Penta and he
Penta
turned dark.
Oscuro. Yeah,
Cody signed with Vince McMahon. So that's
yeah.
that's pretty that's
Cody
pretty dark.
retired and then came back, signed with Vince McMahon.
So that's as dark as it gets.
Um, oh, didn't he do Arn Anderson? And then he
I think he
threatened to shoot
did.
people.
Yeah.
So I mean, it did that.
That was a weird time.
It was very weird, very weird, very very weird promo by the old man. Uh hey,
Yeah, that'll be cool. It'll be a fun feud.
yes.
I don't know if they're going for a long feud or like a one-off thing, but it'll still be cool.
I would really like other than the Cody feud, like Malachi really hasn't had anything long standing. Like
Right.
you can kind of say like it wasn't really a feud with Pac. It was like Pac and Death Triangle. So like
Right.
I
It was
would
kind
like
of
to
like
see a
the
one
two
on one.
stables against one another. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Miro hasn't had much since Sammy, so they both need something to
Right.
do.
So that would be yeah, let's go. Let's do
Yeah,
it.
that'd be cool. I want to see that.
Um Tony Rosa versus Marina Shafir and Nyla Rose.
Yes.
Every week Marina Shafir is getting better.
She really is. I really like her. I mean, she's clearly not main event now, but I think she will be. I mean, she's getting somewhere.
Yeah. And I noticed something actually during this match. And like she comes from high level MMA. I mean,
Right.
she trained with like Ronda Rousey and that crew.
Right.
And imagine her learning, like picking up the craft of pro wrestling, but coming from a background where you get punched and kicked in the face and you're not supposed to show your opponent that you're in pain. But then you
Right.
go into pro wrestling where like, someone sneezes on you wrong, you have to jump over the top
Right.
rope and land in the third row.
Right.
She's starting to learn that aspect of it,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
showing. Like if someone works her arm, she's not just like trying to get out of like you normally would in MMA. You're not
Right.
gonna
You'd
like,
like
oh,
just
my
try to
knee.
reposition yourself. You're not gonna like sit there
Yeah,
and sell it. Yeah.
yeah. So I noticed specifically in this match, she was doing that, and it's the little things, but it's really putting her together.
Yeah. I mean, she's getting better. I mean, we say this a lot, but a lot of
Oh yeah,
the women's division who didn't have that much experience when they came to AEW. I mean, there are some of them who've had a lot of experience, but some of them who
right.
didn't, like Marina Shafir or Jade or whatever, like they get better every week.
Yeah, and it's consistently every week, and it's
Yeah.
obviously Regal and Danielson, but give the women credit, they're showing up
Yeah,
and
definitely.
putting in the extra time. excuse me, putting in the extra time in the ring, and it's showing. And
And I mean,
it's
having
making
having people around now like Tony Storm and Ruby, so people who've had TV time, more TV time than
yes,
they've had, that has to help too.
yeah, oh yeah, and
Because you're right, like
uh,
Marina Shafir has no prior to a year or two ago, she doesn't know what it's like to wrestle on television. Um,
exactly,
so you need someone to teach you how to do that because yeah, you're right. Like in MMA, you're not supposed to sell anything. You're supposed
yeah,
to always be looking for another counter or a way out or a next move. You're
yeah,
not supposed to.
and you're looking your
Yeah,
opponent dead square in the eye. You don't care if the crowd, they could be sitting on her hands. It doesn't matter.
right.
Like
Yeah,
you're not there for them, but she's learning.
she's getting better and better. Yeah.
And I'm gonna legit ask you this question: where the hell did Nyla Rose get an umbrella? I'm dead serious.
I think
I
they
just
carried. I think she carried it out, didn't she?
oh see, I missed the entrances. I was
I
filling
think
up.
she brought it out. I think
I
she
went
brought
to
it
get a
out with
glass
her.
of water.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because
And
like
at first,
I
at first I didn't get it. I'm like, what does she have an umbrella for? But then I think Excalibur mentioned like, oh, it's Tony Storm and Thunder Rosa, so she brought an
right.
umbrella. I'm like, oh, okay. I've
See,
been calling them. I've been calling them Tony Rosa this whole time.
right, right.
So
The
the
obvious choice.
thunderstorm thing didn't hit with me as well as it hit with others.
Okay, see that makes sense. I ran to the kitchen to get a drink,
Right.
and I totally did not see them come in. And then like 3 minutes into the match, she smashes Tony Storm with an umbrella, and I was like, whoa.
I think Nyla. I mean, Nyla's another one who's getting better all the time, but she's also getting more and more personality. I mean, even
Yes.
she's always been really funny on Twitter. Like she's been
Oh,
hilarious.
her. Yeah.
But her like TV character has always been just because of who her size and who she is. She's always been like just like an angry like
Yeah.
crusher sort of character. But she's getting more and more like kind of funny and kind of like jerky on TV, and I like it.
Oh, like her quick wit is coming out left
Yeah.
and right, and it's so good. She's on the new episode of Hey EW. If you haven't watched it
Oh,
yet,
nice. I haven't seen
it's
that. I love AEW.
oh Hey EW is amazing. This episode's hilarious. She
Nice.
puts RJ through a ringer. It's pretty amazing. Um, as I was saying before about Marina, I love her slow and methodical approach to wrestling. It's
Yeah.
more of it's she's playing the psychological game. Is like, oh, I can hurt you.
Yeah. And I know her and Thunder Rosa had their singles match that didn't go that well because it just didn't seem to click. But I feel like
Right.
if they had a longer thing, a couple matches against one another, they both have a
Yeah.
similar sort of. I mean, Thunder Rosa has a lot of very technical,
Yes.
methodical type matches. I feel like it could really work.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And we're definitely going to see another. They're going to give them. I don't want to say redemption because they didn't mess it up. There was just one or two bad spots,
Right.
but yeah, they'll definitely give them a second chance. I mean, Thunder Rosa is so over. The crowd
She really
loves
is.
her. Uh, Everything that she has done as champion, she's a great champion. Like she had a little bit of a rocky start, as in they weren't using her,
Yeah.
but now I'm digging it.
Yeah. And especially, I mean, still hasn't, I mean, she's kind of in a storyline with Tony Storm,
Yeah,
friends who also compete against one another. She doesn't still have like a big rival against her right now, but she's doing a really good job with the angle that she's
yeah,
in.
yeah.
And
Oh, it's
it is hard too being champion after someone like Britt Baker, who's kind of like she's not the best wrestler in the division, but she is like the face of the division. She's for the first
and
couple of years of Dynamite, she was like the big push.
and she can talk.
Right. So being
So
champion
yeah,
after her is always going to be a challenge. It's like, if you're the champion after, CM Punk, it's
yeah,
like only some people can do that. Like John Moxley could do that, but like if you give it to someone who's less experienced, it might not work.
right.
And I'm not saying she's less experienced, but she's less experienced in like the sports entertainment, promo cutting angles things, not in the ring. I mean, clearly she can go in the
Yes,
ring.
yeah, and give uh Dustin Rhodes credit. That's like he took Thunder Rosa under his wing when they first signed her,
Right.
and he's been working with her on promos and body language, and it's coming through too. Uh,
Yeah, and I mean in the ring she's she's
Yeah,
great. Like there's no,
yeah.
you don't really need to do anything with her in the ring. That's not an issue.
Uh, well, of course, Tony Rosa gets the win. Uh, do you think the feud is over?
I think that their feud with Marina and Nyla is probably. I mean, they might have like I said, another singles match with Thunder Rosa and Marina Shafir just to close that. She's already beat Nyla 1-on-1.
Yeah.
So I don't think they need to necessarily do that again. I don't know if they're going to do another Tony Storm Thunder Rosa match. If that's
Well,
going to, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen there.
my guess is they're gonna transition into that.
Yeah,
Like
that makes sense.
one of them will cut a promo saying like, we did our business now, I respect you, blah 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 blah. Now I want my shot. And
Yeah, and I mean their first match was really good, so it makes sense to have another
yes,
one.
absolutely. Um Again, we had another promo. Jade and Mr. Stokely had a backstage segment to introduce Layla Gray as the interim baddie.
Yeah, I love that. I think
I
that's hilarious.
I love every second of it. I think it's amazing.
I like
And
his he
Jade
did
being
his
annoyed by
just
him.
his just explanation of, well, we have an interim champion, so we can have an interim baddie.
Yeah, and Jade plays it so well. Like, I don't care, but why am I here? It's like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like you brought me here for this.
I like because she keeps hiring people like Mark Sterling or Stokely, but like she hires them and then is also kind of annoyed with them at the same time.
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
great.
it's
Like
like
I
just
hired you. I know
groundbreaking.
you have a
Yeah.
job, but I don't like you. I don't like.
Yeah, you're on my payroll, but
Right.
you annoy me. Um, that led right into our main event. Uh, John Moxley versus Brody King. Um, we all know that Brody's a big dude, but I did not realize how tall John Moxley was.
Yeah, they mentioned a couple times Brody King's height, which now I don't remember what it was. I think they
He's
mentioned he's
over.
like six. He's like six
Go.
six or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's like over 6'5". So
Yeah. And JR mentioned it a bunch of times, which, yeah, of course, if you're a tall person, you mention how tall they are. But Moxley's not short compared. Like, he's an inch or two
yeah,
shorter, but like not
yeah, he's like
significantly.
6'3". Like I would have
Yeah.
never guessed that. I
I
figured
would
like
have guessed that he's
5'10".
closer to like 6 feet tall. I wouldn't have thought he's
Yeah,
like that much. Yeah, I was surprised. Maybe I think we mentioned this before. Maybe it's because he came from WWE where a lot of the guys are bigger.
yeah,
He seemed smaller.
yeah.
But yeah, he's a bigger guy than I thought he was.
Uh, of course, super hard hitting match.
Yeah.
Um, they put on a show. Was a heck of a match. Mox
There were
won by
times when, I mean,
submission.
I know Brody King wasn't going to win, but there were a
Right.
couple falls where I was like, he might win. Like I bought it. Like I fell for it a couple
Yeah.
times. I thought he was going to do it.
Oh yeah. His moves are so powerful. Like he, well, he's a big dude, but he moves like a little dude.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, definitely, you buy into his, uh, you buy into his style for sure. Um, Mox won by submission, which of course, like I said, we all knew that Moxley was going to win. But I kind of brought this up to you. Do you think after we're going to go over what Eddie's going to get into next, but after Eddie is done with that, do you think they tell the story Eddie challenges Mox, his best friend, to beat him to get to his worst enemy, CM Punk,
Yeah,
for the title?
that makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's a good story,
That's a
especially
great
because
story.
there isn't really anyone else who I could see going against Mox right now.
Yeah. And that's just, I mean, it writes itself. Like they're best friends. They came up together. I
Yeah,
don't
for
know.
sure. That
Uh,
would, I mean, that would be great. And
I
from
just
what I can tell, they don't really have they haven't announced a venue for All Out yet, and the general thinking is because they don't know if CM Punk's gonna be back. Um,
oh, okay.
and if he's gonna be back, they need a bigger place in Chicago than if he's not gonna be back. Is the general thinking.
Ah, I got you.
So I mean, if he's not back, they could do Mox and Eddie at All Out, and that could be
Oh
a
man.
huge deal. Like that. That's
Yeah.
the kind of match you need if you're not going to get CM Punk back. You could do the two of them. That would be good.
Oh man, that let's go.
And you have that. I mean, more of us booking the show, but I mean,
Yeah.
you have Eddie face Mox, you have Eddie beat Mox in
Yes.
Chicago, and then at the end, CM Punk comes out to challenge him. That would, I mean,
Yeah. And he's just holding up the belt like
yeah,
the interim title in Punk's face. Oh my
yeah,
God.
that would be
The
good
place
stuff.
wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like that's what makes it good because
The only reason I would be skeptical, unless you're gonna have him beat CM Punk, if you're gonna
oh
have
yeah,
Eddie beat,
you
you
have to
have
give
to,
Eddie the belt. Yeah, you have to give Eddie the belt.
because if you have Eddie beat Mox and then lose to Punk, not that losing to Punk is bad because he's CM Punk,
Right.
but Eddie's first title win wouldn't technically count
Right.
because if the interim champion loses to the official champion, they
Right.
don't count
It's
any of
just
those reigns, right? It's just
right.
like CM Punk's reign has been
Yeah, it's
continuous
just
this whole
it's
time.
yeah.
So you'd have to have him beat Punk.
Yeah. And that would be the cap off of the whole story.
Yeah, that would be cool.
So
That would be a
I
great storyline. I mean, Eddie
I
deserves something like that. That would be really cool.
yeah, I well, speaking of Eddie, our two favorites started Rampage. We had
Yeah,
Eddie versus Takeshita. Uh what they this was the most Japanese wrestling match I've ever seen on American television.
outside of Japan. Yeah,
Yeah. uh it was a 50-50 crowd. Uh it was the chain wrestling was unreal. I just can't get over I would have never guessed in a million years that Eddie Kingston was a chain wrestler. Like, no disrespect. I'm not trying to disrespect him,
no,
but
I get what you mean for sure.
yeah, like you look at him and you're like, oh, that guy's a brawler. But
Even
no,
like
he
when
can
like
roll on the
Moxley,
mat.
even when Moxley's a technical wrestler, you're like that's surprising. Like even though you know
Yeah,
John Moxley now, like there's certain wrestlers who just seem like they're certain types of wrestlers. Yes.
and I mean, we all know how old school Eddie is. Eddie walking to the ring selling his back injury from Blood and Guts the week before.
Yeah.
Classic. Loved
You
it.
could tell Eddie really liked this match too. Like
Oh
he was
yeah.
having a good time.
Oh yeah. And so did Takeshita. Like
Yeah, for sure.
they well, I mean, obviously he trusts Eddie because Takeshita taking that exploder on the floor.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, like I had to look away. Like I've had back injuries and that like made me
Yeah,
wince.
dropping people on their heads is like a very Japanese
Yeah.
wrestling thing.
Yes. And he even let Takeshita kicked out at one late in the
Yeah,
match. I thought that was great too.
and he kind of only fell on top of him. He didn't like
Yes.
it was like more of a fluke, not fluke, but less than purposeful win.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. Eddie got the win. It was my match of the week. It's my seal of approval.
Yeah,
That match slayed. They did great, and it was a heck of a start to Rampage too.
and now I don't know if you saw on Tony Khan's Twitter, Moxley versus Takeshita on Dynamite.
What? Like
Yeah,
in 2 days?
yeah.
Wow, man, Kanosuke.
He
He's
said I won't
getting
say. Tony Khan said I won't sanction as a title match since Eddie won on Friday, but if Takeshita wins on Wednesday, then he wins a future title shot. So that's cool.
wow, wow. This kid, they're giving him the keys to the castle.
It's interesting because I mean, obviously the crowd loves him and he's great in the ring.
Yeah,
And he's like a good looking young guy. Like he looks like a star. He
yeah.
wrestles
Oh
like a
yeah,
star. Like it's interesting because he doesn't actually work for AEW,
yeah.
but
And he's been here forever.
they're really putting him over to the point where I feel like they kind of have to. He somehow has to work for AEW. Does I mean they can't put him over this much and then he just in a year just like goes back to Japan and you don't see him anymore.
I, I have no idea. Like I don't
So I
know
don't
if
know what's
they're
gonna happen with that, but
yeah. Well, I don't know if the dude could live here. He'd have diabetes. Like all he does is eat fast food. He's like infatuated with Cinnabon. Like
I love his Twitter account because it's just
oh, it's
like
so good.
him thinking we're living in America is awesome, and
Yeah.
like all the fun stuff he gets.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's on a different level of sweets.
If he's 20, what is he 26? So
26,
I
correct.
guess if you're 26 and wrestling all the time, you can get away with eating all that stuff, but
True.
not forever. So,
Yeah, yeah. He's yeah. It's amazing, but yeah, he cannot live here. It would not be good for his health or his cholesterol. It
yeah,
would be through the
he
roof.
goes back to Japan. They're like, "What happened?" Like that Simpsons episode when Homer gets the helper monkey
Oh,
and he goes to live with Homer for a while, and then he comes back, and they're like, "What did we do to you?"
and he has to hold up the little sign.
Yeah, it reminds me. He'll come back to Japan. They'll be like, "What happened? We sent you away, and look what happened to you."
He would just have his Cinnabon shirt on.
I lived in America. This is what happens.
Yeah, this is what happened. I'm normal over there. um, I have, I don't know. I want your opinion on the next segment. You had Athena and Chris Statlander both challenge Jade. What were
Yeah,
your thoughts? I kind of have a problem
it's
with
a little
this.
weird because one of them. I mean, one of them's gonna have to fight her first. Like, they can't simultaneously challenge her.
Exactly.
I mean, unless
Like,
they do like a triple threat thing, but that seems a little weird. Um,
yeah, because then it would basically be a 2-on-1. Because
yeah,
why would two friends fight against each other ever?
right. So what? So yes, one of them has to face her first, and who's gonna face her? It's a little strange because they
Yeah,
basically said like we're challenging you for the TNT title, and I was like, you can't do that. That
yeah,
doesn't make any sense.
yeah. Like, because until they threw in the TNT title part, I thought they meant like, you know, Jade and either the interim baddie or Kiera Hogan. But
Right.
she was like, no, we're challenging you for the TNT title.
It was a little
It's like,
weird.
oh, yeah. So hopefully there's a plan or something will be
I feel like they
explained.
might have hinted a little bit at a Statlander or Athena, like maybe they're going to argue over who gets to face her first because
I
Stat
mean, that would make
kind of
sense.
threw in the I've been here since the beginning, kind of like I've earned this more than you have.
True.
I've been
Yeah.
waiting for it longer than you have. So maybe that'll go somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah. There's got to be a plan, but that was just a weird segment to me.
It was.
Uh, we saw the debut of the Gates of Agony from Tully Blanchard Enterprises versus Pittsburgh's own Lee Moriarty
There you
and
go.
Ring of Honor heavyweight champion Jonathan Grisham. Uh, Caprice Coleman was on commentary. I love AEW doing this,
Yeah,
bringing in
it kind of turns the show into ROH for a bit, which is I like.
yes,
I
yeah,
mean, I felt like the point of this episode of Rampage was like to tell you that ROH has a pay per view.
yeah.
It
I
definitely
I
seemed like
agree.
a hype show for ROH's pay per view, which I mean it makes sense if they don't have TV, they have to hype their pay per view somehow.
Yeah. Well, find out that there's a reason for this, but the Gates of Agony ruled or dominated the first half of this match. Uh, but then it turns out that they were gonna dominate the whole match because Grisham turns on Lee Moriarty, which I didn't really see the point of until later. They kind of went about it wrong.
Yeah, I didn't expect it either. Like I was surprised.
Yeah, definitely surprised. I, I wish Grisham would have just the way I would have done it. Grisham should have walked backstage, and then when Tony Schiavone went backstage to see what was going on, then you shake Tully Blanchard's hand.
Yeah, I guess they wanted to do it in front of the crowd, but yeah, that your way seems better.
Yeah, that was my only problem with it. It was like, oh, okay, you did it, but then like a minute and a half later, you have a promo telling me what that you did it. We
Right,
just saw like we
right.
just saw that. Like, I don't know.
And
It's
I find it
little
a little
things.
odd. I think they're doing the match on Rampage.
Yes.
I was sure this was going to set up for the pay per view. I thought that's what the point of this segment, this match and segment was to set up for Moriarty and Grisham at the pay per view. So it's a little strange that they did it. They're just going to do it on Dynamite.
Well, see, when you brought this up to me via text, I believe, and it's got me thinking. Like, I don't know unless Tony Khan has a surprise for
Yeah,
like
like I feel
their
maybe Moriarty isn't big enough to main event a pay per view, so they're going to use
right.
someone else. I
So
don't know.
yeah, let them main event Rampage and then have somebody else, like he either signs somebody that we don't know about. Maybe it'll be like an open challenge and Gargano shows up. Like
Right.
Kenny Omega is a former Ring of Honor champion. Like,
And I mean, they did plan to use Claudio initially as a Ring of Honor guy, so maybe that'll happen. I don't know.
yeah. But yeah, we had Jonathan Gresham turn heel, which means we need a baby face.
Right.
But anyways, moving right along. Uh, Now, this is when I was talking about earlier, the Eddie Kingston promo from Wednesday was the setup. Well, this is when Eddie Kingston knocked the ball out of the park.
Yeah.
He cuts a promo and he puts over Takeshita, tells him, you know, thank you for the match, blah blah blah. You have a great future ahead of you, kid. You're you're going to be a star. Then he goes, looks right into the camera, and he goes back to Jericho. And he said, Chris, you don't make a liar out of me. I said I was going to taste your blood. I want all the barbed wire. I'm still speechless. There's going to be a freaking barbed wire match on national television.
And I love how they're tying it into Shark Week for Discovery, because Discovery and
Yes.
Warner are a thing now. So they're like, oh yeah, by the way, also Shark Cage because it's Shark
Yep.
Week.
And for some reason, the JS was just in it.
I feel like that's how they sold it to the network. Like they could
Oh,
like
yeah.
I feel like Tony Khan was sitting there going, okay, we can't tell TNT that we're gonna have a barbed wire match because they're probably gonna say no. So if we say it's because of Shark Week,
Right.
then
We
it's
tie
like
it in.
it's tying in it's branding. It's like then it's not just a crazy violent match. It's helping Discovery promote their television show.
Exactly.
It's brand
Exactly.
synergy. See how we do things here?
Exactly. It was it was like the shock of the century when Eddie said that. And then 12 seconds later, you're like, oh, that's not going to happen. Nope, Excalibur's read it out loud. They had a graphic made up for it with barbed wire everywhere. And you're like, wow, this is really going to happen on
Yep.
national television.
I mean,
I
they did
can't
have
wait.
Jericho against Nick Gage on
Yeah.
national on regular TV. So I mean, they
And
could do that.
the
They could do that here.
and the first time Rampage was in Pittsburgh, that's whenever Omega uh, DDT Mox through the glass table that was
Oh
real
yeah, yeah, yeah,
glass.
yeah. And they had Blood and Guts, and they had
Yeah. So I
they've
mean,
had some stuff on Dynamite. Yeah.
yeah, it's just gonna be. It's like wow, barbed wire match. No, it's
Yeah.
like what is it? I'm used to like 1995, like trade tape trading and stuff.
Right.
um, the next match, which obviously it was going to be a squash, but it was Serena Deeb, Mercedes Martinez versus Kayla Sparks and Christina Marie. Um,
I bet so much money on Kayla Starks and Christina Marie.
I
Didn't
know.
work out. I was shocked. Shocked.
But it was meant for setup. You had Serena turn on Mercedes. Um, Obviously, that is going to set up Serena Deeb versus Mercedes Martinez for Ring of Honor women's
Yeah.
title.
Yeah, and it
Uh,
definitely like I said earlier, this seems like a hey, remember we have a pay-per-view, and
right,
they're just gonna sell the pay-per-view. And I mean, obviously, why like that's your job as a promoter to sell the paper. I'm not criticizing them. It just
right,
definitely seems like they were just like, oh yeah, ROH, we forgot we don't have TV, so we're using this episode of Rampage,
exactly.
and it'll be a good
Yeah.
match. I mean, I think
Oh
Serena
yeah.
Deeb. I think Serena Deeb should win it. She's great.
I
Um,
I I agree. Um, it yeah, no, definitely. I almost took my words back. So Serena, she definitely deserves it, and I'd like to see her win it. Nothing
I
against
don't
Mercedes
I don't
Martinez,
know
but
if they have anyone signed for ROH for women. I have no idea.
um, I'm not sure because the only women's match on the last pay-per-view was um for the Ring of Honor title.
Yeah,
And
they
that
did like an
was
interim women's title where Mercedes won, and then they had the
yeah,
other women's title match. Yeah, I
yeah.
don't know if they have anyone signed for ROH's women's division,
Yeah, see, I'm not sure either
but if they don't,
because
I mean, if they're gonna bring in, I mean, I feel like they're gonna use ROH as more like a not developmental, but newer, less proven talent.
yeah.
And if they're going to do that, have some people who don't have as much TV experience. I mean, having them go against Serena Deeb, it's going to be good for them too. I mean, she can clearly teach people while
Oh,
she's wrestling them.
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, she'd be a heck of a player coach, for them there.
Yeah, I think nothing against Mercedes Martinez because I like her character too, but just Serena
Yeah,
Deeb is really really good, and I feel like she should get something.
and it'll be a nice blow off, you know, the tag team breaking up.
Right,
You know, you think you're better than me? Well, put your money where your mouth is and put the belt on the line type deal.
right,
Yeah, that's what they'll do.
yeah,
Um, then we had the like I talked about earlier, the backstage a moment where Grisham joins Tully Blanchard Enterprises. And then they announced Grisham and Moriarty
and
for
yet
next week.
Brian Cage still can't get on TV.
Yeah, I know. I think that's amazing. The thing that I love about Tully Blanchard Enterprises is it is the most like 80s wrestling
Yeah,
thing. It's like, oh, okay. Well, wait, it's an enterprise. Like, what is it? You just,
the name Tully Bridget Enterprise is such an '80s
yeah.
name
Oh,
for a
yeah.
stable. Yeah,
Yeah. And it's like,
to
yeah.
the point where I don't know that like it makes me think like when I've heard the name, it makes me think like did he have a stable named Tully Bridget Enterprises in the '80s? I don't think he did,
No, I don't
but
think you did either.
if it turns out he did, I would totally believe you.
Oh, yeah. And it just, oh, yeah. I love it. And now they have, well, I don't want to say not that any of those other people aren't legit, but they have the Ring of Honor champion in their stable now. So
Right,
they're going to need Ring of Honor is going to need a savior per se. That's
right.
my as I was going to throw in before. Someone's going to have to be a big deal. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like it'll be a return like an ROH like alumnus,
Yeah,
like someone who's been there before, like a Claudio or not Samoa Joe because he's in his own match, but someone
yeah.
like that.
Oh, for sure. Main event time. Tony Nese versus Orange Cassidy. I love the Danhausen being Orange Cassidy's lawyer. It is. It's amazing.
I also like that they brought back because I mean when Danhausen debuted, he was with Orange Cassidy, and then he kind of went on and did his own thing with Hook, and I like
Yeah,
that they tied it back again now.
yeah. Uh, well, Danhausen was at ringside. Uh, this was a surprisingly hard, very hard hitting match. Not saying that these guys can't do that, but I didn't expect that from
Yeah,
them.
and they're really putting Orange Cassidy over as like a oh yeah he could actually wrestle. Like the last few
Yeah,
matches, it seems like they've been pushing that. Like he's not just a funny guy; he can wrestle.
yeah, and, I put it in the outline for the show. Tony Nese quietly and slowly snuck into being like a major player here in AEW all of a sudden.
Yeah, especially he's used his TV time really well. Like he's always on Rampage or Dark or
Yeah,
he's never I don't think he's ever on Dynamite. But he's used the time that he has really well, and putting him with Mark Sterling has really helped.
yeah, and it's it's a legit feud. I mean, it's a legit main event for him. I thought that was cool.
Yeah,
Uh, what what a main event! What a match! I mean, Tony Nese himself put on a show,
yeah, it was
selling
good. It was good.
that. I think it was literally the last like 3 minutes of the match was the most intense thing. Like I was on the edge of my seat, like, oh.
Yeah, it was a lot of back and forth. It was a lot of it was a lot of big moves. It was good.
Yeah. And then, Danhausen curses Tony Nese, which causes Orange Cassidy to hit his what's it called? Slumdog Millionaire. Boom.
Yeah.
And he gets the win. I thought it was a great match.
Yeah,
Um,
and yeah, great match, great characters. It made all of them mean something. It was good.
yeah,
Rampage is kindly finally not finally, but kind of settling into like it's a different show from Dynamite. It's not Dynamite, uh, but it's kind of settling itself into what it is.
yeah,
And this seemed like a very Rampage episode of Rampage. Like it's not just a 1 hour version of Dynamite. Like it's a different show.
yeah. That's a great way to put it. It was a very Rampage episode, and that he gets so much in that hour.
Yeah, and I wonder
Uh,
if they're gonna, especially because it seems like they're having some sort of issue with ROH because I'm surprised they haven't announced a show for ROH yet.
it's really surprising.
So maybe they're gonna use ROH on Rampage more, as that's gonna kind of be where they have their ROH matches now
That'd be cool.
for the time
Uh,
being. Because this seemed like half the show was like ROH Rampage today,
no, that's true.
and it's not. I mean, there's not a brand split in AEW. Like, I mean, Eddie's on both shows, whatever. But like, there's some
Right.
guys like Tony Nese or the ROH guys or whoever who are very Rampage.
Yeah, that is true.
Like, it's forming its own sort of
Yeah,
thing, and
yeah,
it's
that's a
good. Like,
good
I like
call.
it. Like, it's a good show. It's an interesting show. It's clearly not their top. Dynamite is their top show, obviously,
Oh
but
yeah,
but
for sure.
Rampage has its own kind of thing going for it, and I like it.
Yeah, I I'm all about it. Uh, are you ready to debut something new for the show, Rick?
All right, let's go.
All right. So we decided we're gonna put our own spin on things here at the end of our shows now. We like to rant, so we figured we'd save the rants for the end. So any subject you want to hit in the rule, that's the only rule. It has to be in pro wrestling. Any
All
subject you
right.
want to hit. Uh, I've had mine planned out for like a long time because
Okay, that's good because
the,
I don't have one.
oh
I
wow,
will think.
do your homework.
I will
Nice.
think of one. Don't worry. And
Uh,
it's not going to be Cody or Vince McMahon, even though
no,
those are the easiest ones. I'm not going to do
my,
it.
mine is also not those things, and
All right.
this is my rant. All right, this goes back to uh, MJF when he cut his promo, kayfabe or not, we people still don't know. That's not what this is about though. When he talked about, oh, all the ex WWE guys, blah 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 blah. You go on the internet, and the internet always tells me that, oh, there's all these ex WWE people in AEW. Tony Khan, that's all they are. They're ex WWE people. Okay, no, they're not. They're old independent wrestlers.
Right.
If there would be, they would be in the same place if AEW existed. Then they would have never went to WWE. Like they were their own characters that they built and personas that they built on the indies that they weren't allowed to use in the big company. But the big company stripped all that away from them, and they were able to go back and be that person again. So, like, when people say, "Oh, those are ex WWE people," no. Now, if Tony Khan signs John Cena one day, yes, he will be the first ex WWE person that works in an
Yeah,
AEW ring.
and I don't want to cut off your rant, but my
No,
issue is what's Tony Khan supposed to do?
well, exactly that
I mean, if
too.
you're
Like,
running a wrestling company and Brian Danielson or Claudio or CM Punk or whoever becomes available, are you going to go, no, they worked for WWE, so I'm going to stick with, like, obviously you hire them. You can't
yeah,
not. That's
it's
ridiculous if you're
right.
running a wrestling company to not hire
If
them because of where they used to work.
if you're running anything, like we were talking earlier, like another team is talking to Evgeny Malkin right now, and our beloved Penguins are probably going to lose a player if he hasn't signed somewhere else already any minute now.
Right.
because that's what
And
happens when
that's what
people
happens.
become.
And
Yeah.
I mean, if I, I like to point this, I don't like to get in Twitter fights, but I like to point this out to people on Twitter. Like
Yeah.
Triple H, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, they all worked for WCW.
Yes.
But no one says, oh, that was all ex WCW guys. Of course it wasn't. It was wrestlers who came
Right.
to another company and like
Yes.
did their jobs. Like,
Yeah. And well, again, what I was gonna end with is you see where the true loyalty is. Like all of a sudden, what, like a year and a half ago, Adam Cole was going to be the next Shawn Michaels when you talk to these people. And then, oh, guess what? Adam Cole left. What is he now? Oh, he's fat. Look
right.
at him. He's not believable. Look at his body. Blah 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 blah. Oh, didn't you love him? Oh, wait, no. The people that accepted him back was the people that Adam Cole wrestled in front of in Ring of Honor. And the indie scene loves their people, and for some reason WWE fans only love their people, and then the second something goes astray, they hate them.
Yeah.
It's a
It's
very weird scenario.
and I think I'm gonna piggyback off your rant for my rant.
Yes, go ahead.
Because my rant here is just the internet, I guess. Like my
Well,
my my problem is I get it's one of the things people do in sports and everything else is like, you like your team and they like their team. And I don't even have a problem with like the team aspect of the internet. It's sometimes exhausting, but I have no problem with like the WWE fans liking WWE and the AEW
oh
fans
yeah,
liking AEW. And of course, that makes sense.
yeah,
What annoys me is like what you said with the stuff like Adam Cole. Like people pick at the absolute dumbest things and make
yeah,
that their whole thing. And
yeah,
it's it's just exhausting. Like you'll watch an AEW show. I've watched. I'm not gonna say I don't watch WWE. I don't watch weekly TV shows, but I watched like WrestleMania. I've watched the Rumble. Like I'll watch their shows. I'll pay attention to what's going on. Um, and you'll watch something and you'll see like what are people talking about it, and it'll be Roman Reigns faces I don't know someone in a match, and the
right.
comments are like people are arguing about Kenny Omega, and like why? Just what are you doing? Or
Right,
like or like
right.
see or John Moxley against what's it, Brody King, and the people in the comments are saying, "Oh, Roman Reigns, that's not the same. They're not in the same company. Like it
Right.
doesn't matter what the other people are doing. It doesn't matter at all." It makes me think like, and I don't want to
Yeah,
sound like a grumpy old man, but
yes.
like when people get mad at WWE AEW takes a shot at WWE, or they mention something in WWE, like Max Caster does a rap and he mentions it, or CM Punk and MJF
Yeah,
and they mention WWE, or when WWE has taken shots at AEW, and
yeah,
it makes me think. I mean, the people who are mad at this are not online. Generally, are not our age. They're generally significantly younger. Hopefully,
correct.
I really hope they're not our age. I really hope they're people in their teens and 20s that are this passionate about this online. But like they would not have survived Eric
I
Bish
knew.
Eric
I
Bischoff giving out results on Nitro, and
yeah.
WWE going to Nitro with a with DX and mocking them on, like they would not have survived if they're mad at Roman Reigns' T-shirt. They're not going to survive this. Like I don't want to
Yeah,
sound like a you don't know what I've been through type of
right.
old guy, but like I think it's because there hasn't been another company in so long
Yeah,
that people
absolutely.
have forgot what it's like to have more than one wrestling company, and like that's perfectly fine. Like you can watch WWE and like it, and you don't even have to care what AEW, like you don't,
Yeah,
like you could just not pay attention to them at all, and that's perfectly fine. You can watch whatever show you want. And like I think it's because we grew up in an age where there was an ECW and a
yeah,
WCW and a WWE, and maybe you were pro whatever. Like I was pro WWF in the 90s,
yeah. Same
but
here.
like I would still see sometimes what WCW did and think that was cool and be like, I'm just not going to watch that show on a weekly basis because I have another show I watch. But like, I wasn't like, I don't know. I didn't like get mad when WCW like made fun of WWF because like of course
Oh
they
no, yeah, like why
that's what they
wouldn't
do.
you? Like,
Like
yeah, I mean, it's like if you think about it, they're what any athlete would do, like when you play even against another team, like they're not playing against each other as in like stat wise, but of course you talk smack to the other person or give like
right.
a little wink and nod to them, like, yeah, we're better, or you think you're as good as us, blah blah blah. Like
Like it just
I
seems like some people online are like offended by the existence of
yeah,
other wrestling companies and like
yeah,
why? Just don't watch it. That's fine. Like
yeah,
if you're a pro WWE guy and you only watch WWE and maybe you liked Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson and they're not there anymore and you can just not watch them or you can follow them and you can like what they do. Like you have that choice.
yeah.
Like
It's
I've mentioned before with like we didn't get in Canada, we didn't get Nitro and Raw on at the same time. They were I think Nitro
oh,
aired
okay.
either sometimes after Raw at like 1 in the morning or sometimes it aired on Tuesday. Like it didn't have a consistent like
Oh, okay.
good time slot until Bret Hart left. Until
Well,
Bret Hart went to WCW, then it got like a better time slot basically.
of course.
But like there were wrestlers, even Bret Hart. Like I loved Bret Hart, and he went to WCW, and I just didn't watch him that much anymore because he was in another company. Like I didn't watch that show. So that's what happens. You
Yeah.
either choose to follow them and watch the new show that they're in, or don't. Like you could just
And
not. That's cool. Like
yeah.
doesn't matter to me. Like
And like obviously these people are not like fans of pro sports either, because again, this happens all the time in pro sports, happens every
right,
year. And yeah, you can, if your favorite player or wrestler, like someone said something to me on Twitter like a few weeks ago, like I said something, I responded, there was a picture of Sasha and Naomi, and I just, to stir the pot, I said, can't wait to see them in AEW, and boom, I
yeah,
definitely, left it open, like PI people are gonna eat me alive. And there was only a couple people who were like, yeah, that can't wait to see him here either. And like one person said, what are you gonna do when your favorite AEW guy ends up in WWE one day? And I responded with, well, A, he doesn't care what I think, and B, I'd be happy for him making as much money as he possibly could.
right. And even if you're not, even if like
Like,
John Moxley say went back, which I don't think he ever would, but if he did,
yeah,
if he went
yeah,
back, I wouldn't. Even if you're not happy for him, like you could just not care.
yeah, that's exactly what I would
You
do.
could
I'd
just
say, oh, okay, good for him.
because I don't
Like,
know him, and it doesn't
yeah,
like
yeah,
when
he's
I
not
like.
my,
I'll admit when I watched like WrestleMania and Cody came out and did his whole the same entrance that he did in AEW, like at the very beginning, the first thought was like, "You jerk! What are you doing? Who do you think you are?" Like there was a
right,
little bit of that there, but now it's just like, "Oh, he's wrestling. Of course he is." Like, what do you want him to do?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and I'm not him. Like I don't care really. If I want to watch him wrestle, I'll go watch him wrestle. If I don't, then I won't.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
weird.
I mean
It's
that's
weird. And
I
it kind of takes away from like the not the fun of it because I still really love watching AEW and I think it's great, but
yeah.
it does kind of and you can see in other other recap people who be like, not other podcasts but other websites or other YouTube videos and stuff who will point out, oh, I know the internet's going to be mad about this, or I know the internet's going to be upset about this.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's annoying that like something happens on AEW TV, and my first thought is like, oh, the internet's going to be mad. Like, why do I shouldn't care, but I do, and it's annoying and it upsets
Yeah.
me that
Yeah.
like I even care what the internet's going to think about these things because like they're just angry about everything.
I mean, that's why you got to love the Young Bucks. I mean, they totally understand how to use the internet
Yeah, it's great.
to
And
their advantage in every
they
way.
know they're annoying, and like when they
Yes.
say something, they're gonna upset half the people who read it, but they
Yep.
don't care because the other half is gonna think it's funny.
Yeah, the
Like,
other half's in on the joke, like
yeah,
yeah, it's ah it, what a time to be, like, to have access to like these people. Like,
yeah. I
just
just think
imagine
it's
if Twitter existed in the 90s.
oh that would like it. if social media existed during like the Monday Night
Oh
Wars and
my
like
god.
ECW alone
Yeah.
would have ruined
Oh.
Twitter. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. ECW alone would have ruined Twitter.
it's fun. I mean, the fact that it I can be annoyed at the internet and annoyed at the people who cheer for one company, but I do it too. Like I'll
Oh yeah.
post pro AEW stuff, and I don't
Yeah.
like a lot of stuff about how WWE shows are, so I'll knock them when it comes up. Like I'll do it too. Like I'm not any better than anyone else,
Yeah.
but it's fun. I mean, I like it.
And well, and that's the thing. You're saying it's fun. Like I have a feeling that a lot of this like rules these people's lives.
Yeah, that's the problem. There's a difference
Like,
between like I think it's
yeah.
fun and I like it versus like the you can tell if someone has like a Roman Reigns profile photo that
Yes.
like they're in on this too much. And
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's a weird crowd to say the least.
which I don't want to like again, I'm not trying to knock the MJF angle, which makes it a little weird to me that like clearly MJF understands the internet and people and how to
Right.
get a rise out of people, how to get people to pay attention to him. I get all that. But if he has spends any time on the internet, he knows that there's a lot of pro WWE guys and a lot of pro AEW guys on the internet.
Right.
And he should know that when he says he wants to go to WWE, that it's going to upset the AEW guys because the AEW
Oh
people
yeah.
like AEW. I mean,
Right.
AEW is still at a point where like it's like they're the little guy, even though
Yeah.
they're run by Tony Khan, whatever. They're still the little guy. So like people are very protective of. I mean, their fans are very. WWE is very
Yeah.
the evil large group.
Yes.
Um, so when MJF says he's going to go there, that's a heel thing to say
Yeah. Oh,
to
absolutely.
an AEW audience.
Yeah.
So it's a little weird that I don't know. I find it weird that the guy who's like, I'm gonna come out and tell the truth or whatever, like he's a heel though. He's supposed to be a heel.
Yeah.
So I don't want it to turn into like where he's the face and he's against AEW sort of because I don't think that'll
Oh,
work.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
He should be the heel. He should be the jerk who like I know you love this company. I don't care. I want money. Like that should
Yeah.
be where he goes with this. And I don't know if that's where he is going to go or if he even still works there. I don't know. But
I just, I'm gonna stick by my thing. I'm sticking to it. I saying it's a work, but
I feel like it. Yeah, I feel like it is. And I from what I've heard is the rumor was that he was supposed to leave for a bit and then come back and face CM Punk for the title.
oh, okay, that
But
makes perfect sense.
Punk being out has kind of put a wrench in that.
Well, see,
Unless you think that's the work too, which I think you do.
well, see, yeah, like I forgot that I see I bought into it. I forgot my own prediction. Yeah, I forgot. See, wow, way to bring that up. Ah, yeah, man. Now I sound like a person who thinks that everything's a work.
I'm waiting till like speaking of internet fans, I'm waiting till there's like I don't know, maybe there already is. There's like some diehard Ring of Honor fans who are mad at AEW for buying Ring of Honor, but also like mad at WWE for not being. I want there to be like a third type of fan. It's like
It's like the super niche fan.
yeah, like because like they already have like the WWE guys, the AEW guys. Then there's like the AEW original guys who are
Yeah.
we're mad at the WWE guys. Like I want there to be an extra branch of like the Ring of Honor diehards who are like really small and who like still like they're mad that Adam Cole isn't in Ring of Honor even though they're all the
Right.
same company. Like
Right.
I want that.
Wow, that'd be amazing. I
Why
guarantee.
not just go? Why not just go all in on it? Like
Yeah. Oh, I guarantee that person exists.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, the
And
internet
how it's
is a
not the
weird
real Ring of
place.
Honor anymore since AEW
Right.
bought it. I want that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, look at what happened to the ECW brand when it got purchased.
Right. Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, a beloved thing got tarnished
Yes.
because it was terrible. That's all
I
I
think
can say.
this could be a, and I mean, you can't help but compare Tony Khan to Vince McMahon. You have to. They're the respective faces of
Yeah,
their management companies.
yeah.
This is where you could see how different. Is Tony Khan really different than Vince McMahon? Like, is he going to run Ring of Honor as in a better way than Vince McMahon ran ECW? I think he will, but you have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's if he, I don't want to say if he just leaves it alone because like that makes it sound like I think he doesn't know what he's doing. He definitely knows what he's doing.
Right.
I would just like, I don't know, like I don't want it to be like AEW Junior. Like I
Right.
still want it to feel like Ring of Honor, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. It's a little interesting that I think he's going to book it himself. If it got a TV show, I think his plan is to book that too. But like, how many TV shows is he going to book?
I was just gonna say, I mean, what? I mean, this guy runs like multiple pro sports teams.
Right.
Like, when does he sleep?
I feel like he'd have to give it to somebody else. He can't book a weekly. If there was a separate weekly ROH show, like he can't also write that himself.
Yeah, like there's no way. That's
So we'll see.
yeah, we will see.
Maybe that's why he doesn't have an ROH show right now. Maybe even
Yeah,
like
he
maybe
keeps moving
TNT is like, seriously, guy, you can't write another one. You're writing two shows.
this.
You can't. We're
Yeah,
doing this
like
for your own good. By not
yeah,
giving
like
you
it's
another show.
yeah. I mean, you could totally have it if you hire another person,
Right.
but no. Until then,
I also like, because I said my rant wasn't going to be about Cody or Vince McMahon, but I managed to include Cody and Vince McMahon in my rant.
nice man. We hit all the bases this
There you
time.
go.
We had Bret Hart earlier, Hook, Danhausen, Vince,
Hook,
Cody. Wow, Hook. It was all there.
the internet, we bashed it all.
Yeah. Oh, real quick, because I didn't put it in the notes because it really wasn't that important. How awkward was the Hook segment on? I think it was Rampage. Like
Is that the one where? Oh, there's
it
that
was
the
like a
promo video.
commercial.
Yeah, they did
Yeah.
like a "This is Hook." Yeah, it was a little odd.
But what the hell is that for?
It feels like they've run out of things to do with Hook. Like,
Just let
because I mean,
him beat people up.
yeah, just
Like,
maybe the fact that they're already doing that with Wardlow, they don't want to do it with Hook too. But like, they can have two guys who just beat people up. Like, they don't need to. That I think they might have
yeah,
stumbled upon something in Hook that they didn't think they were going to stumble upon with Hook, and now they're
that's
not
true too.
sure. They're not
That's
sure
true
how
too.
to go ahead with it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
like it's
just have him come out and throw people around for a bit and choke somebody out and then leave. They could
yeah.
just do that. That's fine with me. They can run that for another 6 months and I'd be fine with it. Like,
Yeah, everybody loves Hook. Like it doesn't.
yeah,
They don't even care. Like they don't care if it's uh, like a dude from the crowd.
right.
Like they just let him beat people up and
Yeah,
and not do anything and leave. It's
there is
great.
something to, and I don't think it's a problem. Like, I'm not saying I don't think it's a problem. I don't think it's something that they cause a problem they caused themselves. But there is something to the talk of AEW's roster being a little too big, because you do have guys like Hook who, like, where do you go with him? What do you do with him?
Yeah,
And I don't
that,
criticize. I'm not going to criticize AEW for the people they hired, because, like I said, if a Bryan Danielson or a CM Punk or Swerve or Keith Lee or
yeah.
Tony Storm, like, if they come up, of course you hire
Y-
them. That's what. Why
yes.
wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And you're not going to not hire them because, like, oh, I have people on Dark who haven't had TV. Well, no, of course, like, you
Yeah.
have to. Not to knock anyone who's on Dark or Elevation
Uh,
all the time. They have their own roles, but they're
Yeah.
clearly not CM Punk or Keith Lee or, like.
Exactly.
So of course you're going to hire. So I'm not saying AEW did something wrong by increasing the size of their roster, because when they probably didn't expect any of these people to be available.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
If you had asked Tony Khan, a year ago, are you going to have, Malachi Black, Aleister Black, and Swerve and Keith Lee and Bryan Danielson and Tony Storm and Ruby Soho, and like they're all going to be on your roster? He'd be like, "What are you
yeah,
talking about? Did I buy WWE?"
yeah.
Like,
Like what? Yeah, like what happened?
Yeah. Did Vince like shut down the company? Like,
Yeah, well,
how did I
basically.
buy NXT? That's weird, but
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
So yeah, of course you hire them. There's like, so I can't blame them for having a big roster, but it does
no,
sometimes seem someone like Hook, they don't have space to put him on TV every week, but they want him on TV every week. So then you get things like that little
that then
segment.
since you put it that way, that does make a little bit of sense. It got just like we have the ongoing joke where we say Hook every week, like they
Yeah,
get his name on TV every week at least. So
they just throw on Hook. Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
So there
Well,
you go.
that was another fun show.
I think
Um,
so.
yeah, I'd blast. Everybody, again, community keeps growing. We've had a lot of Twitter traffic lately. At Elite City Pod, give us a follow. We'll take questions, anything you want.
Elite City Pod at Twitter and
Yeah.
Instagram. That we don't do much on Instagram, but we could.
Oh, okay.
You never know. There could be something there.
Yeah, we could. I don't have an Instagram anymore, so open it. I will open a new one to follow that.
But
Um,
it's been fun.
yeah,
We've done a
definitely,
lot
it's
of
been
stuff
fun.
today. It was a bit slightly longer one, but we had a pretty good rant that we went on there. So
Yeah, yeah. Like, it's let us
let us
know
know
if
if you like the
that's where
rants,
I was
if you think
going.
that that's fun,
Yes,
if you like that we're throwing that in there, or if you
yes,
I like it. I think there's something to be said for going over the shows. Obviously, like that is important too. But I like
yeah.
the free for all kind of
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
ranting at the end.
It could be literally anything you want. It's a
I
free
like it.
for all. Yeah.
So let us know what you think.
Yes. Let us know what you think. And that was the week that was AEW. Thank you again, everybody. And until next week, later.